What's going on, you guys? This is Ron with your second stimulus check update and second stimulus package update for Tuesday, October 13th. Lots of updates for you guys. In fact, we actually got big news from Mitch McConnell. Apparently, there's a vote scheduled for next week. I don't know how many of you guys know, but the Senate is out of the office as a result of a recent virus outbreak at the White House, but they're apparently scheduled next week for a big vote. I'm going to give you guys all the details on that and how that can impact our next stimulus package. But first, I just want to say thank you and welcome back to all my subscribers. And of course, for all you guys who are brand new to the channel, my name is Ron. We cover all things personal finance, investing, and of course, stimulus checks. And if you guys are getting any value out of these videos, of course, it does take me a while to put these together. I would appreciate if you guys smash the like button for me. It definitely helps out the channel. So I want to jump immediately right into the updates. So initially, many people, as of the last 2 weeks, there was a lot of concern about the focus on, passing the next round of stimulus checks, the focus on passing the next stimulus package for the American people. However, talks regarding replacing the Supreme Court of the United States has been temporarily, at least at a minimum, the shift in focus on where priorities have been for Congress. And, quite frankly, coming from President Trump, he wanted to shift focus in terms of, having this position replaced. And so Amy Coney Barrett has literally been all over the headlines. Amy Coney Barrett's Senate Judiciary Committee hearings started yesterday, but even before then, she has literally taken the forefront in terms of the priorities of Congress, even ahead of stimulus package negotiations. And so the big concern is that the White House and the Senate Republicans have literally shifted their focus from, trying to pass the next stimulus package to actually trying to replace the Supreme Court justice. President Trump sent out numerous confusing tweets last week, both calling off stimulus checks and stimulus package negotiations, postponing those talks until after the election, to shifting the focus on replacing the Supreme Court justice. It's been a mess. However, President Trump recently urged Republicans to pull back on the confirmation hearings. So not only did President Trump pull back what he said in the tweets with regard to, postponing negotiations for the stimulus packages, but he actually went full force on attempting to get the next stimulus package passed. In fact, it was only a few days ago that he proposed the highest stimulus package offer at 1.8T, which of course Nancy Pelosi recently rejected. However, there's more. President Trump recently urged Republicans to pull back on confirmation hearings. It says that President Trump on Monday urged Republicans to pull back on the confirmation hearings for Barrett and focus instead on passing a virus stimulus bill, directly contradicting his words from less than a week ago when he told Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell to focus all time on approving my outstanding nominee for the United States Supreme Court, Amy Coney Barrett. Now, I just want to shed light on the fact that President Trump shifting the priorities of replacing the United States Supreme Court, this gives you full perspective on where President Trump is in terms of his level of importance for passing another stimulus package and, of course, stimulus checks for the American people. He goes on to say that the Republicans are giving the Democrats a great deal of time, which is not mandated, to make their self-serving statements relative to our great new future Supreme Court justice. Personally, I would pull back, approve, and go for stimulus for the people. And then yesterday afternoon, President Trump sent out another tweet where he says Republicans should be strongly focused on completing a wonderful stimulus package for the American people. Now, keep in mind that these statements come only days after President Trump was on Rush Limbaugh's radio show on Friday, where he said, I would like to see a bigger stimulus package than either the Democrats or Republicans are offering. We cannot ignore the fact that President Trump has literally been flip-flopping back and forth over the past, 7 to 10 days about his priorities. But as long as President Trump is focused on passing another stimulus package, as long as he's on that directive, I'm pretty happy with it. So anyway, the news came out today that Mitch McConnell will be forcing a vote on a targeted virus relief bill next week. According to Mitch McConnell, he says, when the Senate returns on October 19th, our first order of business will be voting again on targeted relief for American workers, including new funding for the PPP, which is also known as the Paycheck Protection Program. Now, I definitely want to highlight the fact that he does say he wants to focus on targeted relief for the American workers. Now, what does targeted relief mean from Mitch McConnell's standpoint? Are we talking about, unemployment insurance benefits? Are we talking about, providing the additional $1,200 stimulus checks in this relief bill that they're going to be voting on next week? The exact details on this particular relief bill have not been released just yet. In fact, the news about this vote actually just came out moments ago. So I'm definitely going to keep you guys posted on what the details are in this. He does mention that new funding for the PPP program will be included. So, there was debate about, the existing unspent $130 something billion in the PPP program potentially being reallocated. There was also conversation about business owners who had received PPP funds and exhausted them, and then potentially allowing them to reapply and obtain more funding. But the allowance letting that happen for existing business owners isn't currently in the existing law letting that happen. So, there are a number of businesses that are potentially on the verge of having to shut down. And of course, for every business that shuts down, there's a number of employees that would be losing their jobs. So, if we could get that bill modified, and of course, if this is voted on next week, that could potentially allow that to happen, because that is slated for discussion. But in addition to that, it says including new funding for PPP. So that would be providing brand new funds to the Paycheck Protection Program, which is always a good thing for businesses as well as employees and, the American workers. Now, I take it that the urgency for voting on this new stimulus bill comes on the heels of the letter to her colleagues just a couple of days ago. In fact, I also shared with you in yesterday's video the response to that letter that Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin wrote directly to Nancy Pelosi with regard to the urgency behind pushing this next stimulus package through. And Mitch McConnell defends earlier comments from Nancy Pelosi when he says that the Republicans do not agree that nothing is better than something for working families. The American people need Democrats to stop blocking bipartisan funding and let us replenish the PPP before more Americans lose their jobs needlessly. And this is exactly what I was saying, how, the importance of PPP is actually keeping things from becoming worse for at least for those who are still working. We don't need any more Americans losing their jobs. And Mitch McConnell reconfirms the prioritization in terms of, no longer making, replacing the United States Supreme Court justice to shifting that focus toward getting the next stimulus package passed. He says, unless Democrats block this aid for workers, we will still have time to pass it before we proceed as planned to the pending Supreme Court nomination as soon as it's reported by the Judiciary Committee. So the negotiations have definitely picked up in the last several weeks. There's quite a bit of progress. There was a stint where there wasn't even much communication between, the Democrats and the Republicans, but Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin are pretty much talking to each other on a regular basis now. We had May 15th when the HEROES Act was passed. We thought it was a big movement, and then nothing happened until July 9th, which sparked additional conversation with regard to another stimulus package proposal from the Senate Republicans. But at that time, they were actually pushing forth this agenda about, capping the eligibility for stimulus checks at $40,000 income. Then after that, on the 27th, we had the Senate Republicans introduce a bill that actually brought back the $1,200 stimulus talk without the $40,000 income cap. Fast forward to July 30th, we had the Senate propose a $1,000 stimulus check for the American people. No one was happy about that. It was smaller than the previous $1,200 stimulus check that we had seen in the CARES Act. And of course, all the subsequent proposals. We were promised that a stimulus package was going to be passed by August 13th before Congress went on recess. That date came and passed. Then of course, October 1st, the Democrats passed their updated stimulus bill for $2.2 trillion, which of course included the $1,200 stimulus checks for the American people. And then of course, October 7th, which was just last week, President Trump proposed a standalone legislation to allow $1,200 stimulus checks to be sent out to the American people, but that hasn't gone anywhere as of yet. I'm definitely anxious to see what kind of wording is going to be in this particular relief bill that Mitch McConnell is scheduled to be having his Senate Republicans vote on as of next week. So I'll definitely be sure to provide you guys with those updates as soon as it comes out. But anyway, guys, that's all for this stimulus check update and stimulus package update. If you guys have any questions for me, definitely drop me a comment down below. Smash the like button if you got any value out of this video. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys on the next